Hello and welcome to Two Chicks, One Show, where we recap, review, talk about, discuss, pontificate on, usually one currently airing show an episode a week, but we are on a bit of a hiatus from that because it's kind of fun to go back in time and check out the things that we either remember from our childhood or, in my case, college years, or in the case of Kait, have never seen before. I'm Trisha Ennis, she's Kait Calabro, we're your two chicks. To this week's show, as last time, what is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but we're doing this a season at a time. Last time we did season 1. This time we're doing season 2. Kait, the burning question. Do you like Xander yet?
I do enjoy Xander. I enjoy him way more season 2 than season 1 because I think he's finally got over the fact that like Buffy doesn't like you, bro, and like that's not gonna happen. And
Date this other chick instead.
Yeah, and I really dig Xander and Cordelia together. But I mean, later on, he still has like really annoying moments later on the series, and I did the thing that I don't like to do, and I've already started watching season 3, and like
Not supposed to do that.
I know, but like we couldn't schedule this early enough for me, so I had to. Like I couldn't stop. I'm not too far on season 3, but there's a couple moments where I'm just like, oh, shut up. But I know several people that are huge Buffy fans besides Trisha, and they know I'm watching Buffy for the first time. So sometimes like I vent to them. And one thing that I've mentioned to both Trisha and a couple other people is that Xander must have been taking acting tips from Chandler from Friends with his Matthew Perry. I don't know the guy's name that plays Xander and like what is
Nicholas
real.
Brendan.
But they almost like they deliver their snarky comments in the same way. And I'm surprised that I don't know, did you notice that? Because you're a Friends fan.
I am a huge Friends fan. I've watched all 10 seasons many times. I don't think I've ever like picked up on the similarities, but maybe that's because I watched Friends before I watched Buffy, because I watched Friends before I went to college. Like literally like 2 weeks before I went to college, we watched 10 seasons of Friends. And I watched Buffy after, but I don't think I ever picked up on that, and that's strange. You mentioned it, and I was also rewatching season 2, and I picked up on some of that, I guess. I don't see it, I think, as much as you do, but there's definitely a tendency to enunciate or put emphasis on different words in a sentence.
Yeah. Which is like, I guess because for me, like I grew up watching Friends, like as a little kid, like it was something that like my parents watched and I was like allowed to watch it. And so I'm just used to like hearing the way Chandler spoke. And then like now seeing Xander, I'm like, oh my God, he's trying so hard to be like that, like comedic beat, like the beats are the same to me. But I mean, I think it might just be the characters. I don't know if he's like copying him, but
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I tolerate Xander now.
You tolerate him, you don't love him.
I don't love him, but there is a great Xander episode in season 2, which I appreciate.
Yes, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are your overall impressions of season 2 as a whole, not just Xander? Because there's more to Buffy than Xander.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Hopefully. If there wasn't, I wouldn't still be watching. I really like season 2. I think it's going to be hard for other seasons to top it. I really like season 1. I know a lot of people aren't fans of season 1, but I think season 1 really helped build the foundation for the series, which is what a first season should do. But I mean, there's a couple weird ass episodes that I wasn't a fan of, but nothing that would be like, oh, I can't watch this anymore.
Right. The weird or bad or episodes are outliers rather than like the overall theme of the season.
Yeah. And I mean, I talked about in our last episode when we talked about season 1 that I wanted like more bad vampires, and like we totally got it. And there was a lot more vampires and a lot more vampire drama, which I appreciate.
Yeah, well, that's when you said that when we were talking about season 1, I was like, oh, you're really gonna like season 2 because that's all you get in season 2. It's just lots of bad vampires and lots of vampires switching sides and good. They're not just bad vampires; they're also interesting.
That's it, like there's backstories that
like
you want to
Spike and
know
Drusilla
about. Yeah. So
I really like Spike and Drusilla.
yeah, I like Spike. Drusilla is a weirdo, but she's supposed to be.
The point,
and
yeah.
That's like Angel's fault. And it's great to see someone that like you're supposed to believe is like this really great person, and he's like perfect except for he's a vampire, but like he's also done some really fucked up shit, and now let's talk about it. And that's pretty much what we get with Angel, because Angel wasn't too nice to Drusilla, and we find out that like he is, do they call him sires?
Yes, the vampire who begets another vampire is their sire.
Now, like I think in True Blood as well as in Vampire Diaries, they're called makers.
Yeah, but sire sounds better.
Yeah, sires is more, ooh.
It's more like parental.
Maker. Yeah. And we don't know, we haven't learned much about, we know the backstory, we learn the backstory of Angel and Drusilla's siring, but not really about Spike and Angel.
You get Spike's siring backstory at some point. I can't remember if it's in Buffy or if it's in Angel, because those stories cross over a lot.
Yeah.
Once Angel starts after next season. I think it's in Buffy, but there was a lot of Drusilla, Angel, Spike backstory in the 3rd season of Angel too, so which is a really good season. But yeah, so you do get a lot of backstory on Angel. You find out a lot more about who he was before he got re-ensouled by the gypsies. You learn a lot more about everybody, really. You get to see a lot more of Buffy's mom. Do you like her yet?
No.
No? Okay. That'll come.
I don't know if it will. She's a horrible person. She's just horrible. I don't like anything about her. Okay.
I feel like you will like her, but I don't know. I can't say for a fact.
Yeah, she's gonna really have to do something great, because she's really fucking awful. Like you're rewatching it, like you like her? Like people liked that woman?
Yes. People really like Joyce.
I don't know why. She's an awful mother. She's awful.
Well, maybe you'll think differently, like, next season. I don't know.
I don't know. Even like, so I think this is bizarre. So the woman that plays Joyce,
yes,
is named Kristen Sutherland. Okay. So of course I'm like, oh my god, is she related to Donald Sutherland and Keith Sutherland? So I do some Googling, and I found out that this woman thought that her real given name, which was like Kristen Young, was too similar to another actor's, so decided to change her name to Sutherland because she named her cat Donald Sutherland. But
I didn't know that.
But has no relation to Keither or Donald.
Well, that's not unheard of.
But the main reason of her changing her name was because it was too similar to another actress's. And then
was it too similar and it was already in the union, or too similar and just decided to change it because it was too similar?
I mean, it sounded like it was just too similar.
Because like a lot of actors change their names because they have to, because there's already an actor with that name in the union. And they do weird stuff, like choosing weird names that make no sense. David Tennant from Doctor Who, his last name is McDonald, but there is already a David McDonald in the union, so he changed it to David Tennant, Tennant being the last name of one of the members of the Pet Shop Boys.
I just think it's weird.
So people choose names for weird reasons.
It just makes her even less. She's annoying.
Anyway, so we learn more about them. We get to see more about them and their relationship, and we learn more about. You learn a little more about Willow and Xander, like not a ton, but a little. You learn a lot more about Jenny Calendar and
Yeah.
Giles.
Yeah.
You get to see Giles' seedy backstory a little bit. His misspent youth.
I mean, he was a teenager.
He was like in his 20s, but yeah.
Yeah. But whatever.
It was his rebellious period, summoning demons and like.
Yeah, he could do no wrong in my eyes.
Everybody loves him when he channels his inner Ripper.
I have a watcher question because I'm just like, there's some things I'm very confused about when it comes to the slaying community.
Okay, so go ahead and ask. Go ahead.
So it's not too far into season 2 that Kendra pops up, which answers the question.
Love her.
Yeah, that I had at the end of season 1, Buffy does die for a brief moment. Does that mean that another Slayer was awoken? And it does. So there was 2 Slayers, and Kendra comes to. It was the first 2-parter.
Yeah, it's What's My Line?
Yeah. So my question about the Slay. So Kendra made it seem like all of her life she was training to be a Slayer, but yet how would she know?
You find this out later, but the Watchers Council keeps track of, at least to a degree, potential Slayers.
Oh, okay.
So at any one time in the world, there are a lot of girls who could potentially be the Slayer. They could be Slayers in training. It depends on like their culture. So like Kendra being the Slayer is a very big deal in her culture. And so she trains from, when the Watcher comes and says you're a Slayer, you could be a Slayer. You're not actually a Slayer, but you could be. So we're going to train just in case you become the next Slayer. They don't know what order they'll be chosen in. They just know where some of them are. They don't even know who all of them are. And they know when one is awoken, I believe. They can figure it out. I don't know. They're the Watchers. They're like really fancy librarians.
And then why are there so many, why is there a council of Watchers? Like, if there's just one Slayer, why isn't there just one Watcher?
It's another thing that you also learn. Okay. Eventually you don't really know why there's a council, but it gets into the whole patriarchy thing eventually, where you discover that like how the Slayer was made. And there was always a group of men and one girl.
Okay, so the Slayer is always a woman.
The Slayer is always a woman. Watchers aren't always men now. They used to be.
Okay.
But you eventually meet some lady Watchers. But there are also many Watchers so that they can keep eyes, I think, on the potentials that they know of.
Okay.
That's my logic anyway. That's me imposing my own logic on Buffy because I don't really think that's ever explained. But
if there's a cesspool of vampire activity where Rupert isn't, if there's another Watcher in that area, he can call Rupert up. Maybe?
Yeah, and they also, they also study demonic activity and stuff. So there are more Watchers. You will meet more of them very soon.
Yeah. So that's just the beginning of my questions.
Just the beginning of the questions. So how did you feel about, other than being glad that there were more bad vampires, how did you feel about the whole Angelus thing? Because that's a big deal this season.
Yeah. So we find out the whole way it goes down, I think, is maybe my favorite storyline.
It's one of Joss Whedon's favorite stories too.
That's ever happened in my history of reading and watching whatever I've seen in my life.
Everything. The entire world.
Everything. Because I have seen and read everything. So it's the second of, I think, 3 2-part, and we all know how much I love 2-parters.
Yes, it's the second 2-parter. It's
but there's 3
Surprise and Innocence. It's the second 2-parter. It's Surprise and Innocence.
But I just there's 3 this season.
There are 3 this season. 3 2-part episodes. And it's Buffy's 17th birthday.
Yeah. And
the judge, who's just a ridiculous bad guy.
Yeah. Wait, so like, let's backtrack a little.
Okay.
Why did Spike and Drusilla decide to show up just to piss off Angel? What was their purpose of coming to Spike?
Okay, so I know part of it was that they're trying to fix Drusilla because she's been hurt. She's weak and blah blah blah, and I think they need the blood of her sire in order to fix her.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, no, okay.
That was the whole thing in What's My Line, and then they just stick around to do shit.
Yeah.
Why not?
This comes to a second question, and then we can get into the bad Angel stuff. So, like, in every other vampire thing I have ever watched, or read, because Twilight counts, vampires have the ability to heal quite fast. So, why the fuck is Spike in a wheelchair for so long? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And like, I understand I'm talking about a vampire story, but like, why?
I don't know. They don't really get into how long it takes vampires to heal. It obviously doesn't take long.
He was in that for a while.
But maybe he was like really severely paralyzed or something. I don't know. The idea, like, why was Drusilla hurt? I think there was a curse or something.
I think Drusilla's was something to do with like magic.
Magic, yeah.
But like Spike has like some of the church fall on him, and then is in a wheelchair till the finale. Like, so I'm just.
But he doesn't need the wheelchair till the finale. He only needs it up to a certain point.
Yeah, but we don't know what that point was.
No, we don't. But part of it was definitely just narrative function. Like, they needed him to be kind of an invalid so that he could feel impotent, essentially, in his relationship with Drusilla.
It was just ridiculous to see this vampire rolling in a red wheelchair.
It has to match his shirt.
Also, another vampire question.
Okay.
Why do like the minions that they have, like Angel, Angelus?
He's Angelus when he's evil.
Yeah, when he's evil, he's Angelus. And Spike, like their minions are constantly in vampire face. Like, why are they always in vampire face?
You don't need to see their human faces. It's cheaper just to put them in the makeup all the time? I don't know.
They're just like, what? Like, why are some of them go in vamp face like when it's ready to be vamp time, and then some are just always?
Don't know. I honestly just think it's cheaper.
Anyway, back to my favorite.
Some things don't have profound answers.
Well, I'm just back to where I started.
How did you feel about the Angelus storyline? We still haven't actually answered that question.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
You were gonna talk about what happened in Surprise and Innocence, because you never actually talked about that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Buffy's birthday. They're gonna throw a surprise party.
Which is never a good idea, by the way.
No, and then the best part is a surprise.
So awesome.
It's a surprise party at the Bronze with just her like 5 friends. Like, they didn't invite anyone else. Like, they closed down the Bronze, and it was just like Xander, Willow, Cordelia. Oh, and then Oz. I gotta talk about Oz.
You do talk about Oz.
Yeah. And like Angel and Rupert, like the weird librarian.
And Jenny.
Oh yeah, Jenny.
She drives her there.
Yeah, but that was like when things were weird. So like I didn't know what Jenny was doing.
It was
because we find out that Jenny
right before things were weird, because things get weird in the next episode.
No, because her weird ass gypsy uncle comes and visits.
Yeah, but it's not weird between all of them yet, because they don't figure out until the next episode.
I thought that like Jenny was taking her to the weird uncle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was meant to be. Otherwise, I think they would have just had someone more logical take her to the surprise party, like Xander.
Yeah. So Buffy, of course, fights vampires before she gets into her birthday party.
She doesn't want to do.
They're attacked in the like, also Sunnydale, just filled with alleyways. There's a lot of alleys.
It's a bigger city than you realize.
Yeah.
They also have a college. You find that out later.
Great. So they don't have to go away to school.
No.
Thank God. And they find out that now that Drusilla is full power, her master plan is to bring back the judge, who is this demon who is able to kill people if they have a soul. Was that it?
Yeah, he sucks the humanity / soul out of people using his hand and his brain palace. And
then we learn that Jenny's a gypsy, and she's part of the gypsy family that cursed Angel. I don't know, how long has he had a soul?
He's had a soul for at least 100 years, if not more.
Okay. And the uncle's pissed off because Jenny's supposed to be watching Buffy. Or is she supposed to be watching Angel?
Supposed to be watching Angel.
Very confused. I get very confused with this.
She's supposed to be keeping an eye on Angel to make sure he never gets his soul back.
Or that he never doesn't get a soul. He has a soul.
Oh, sorry, that he doesn't lose his soul. Yes. Okay. So because the whole point of the soul is so that he suffers for eternity.
Yeah. And now that Angel is happy because he's in love with Buffy, the uncle's pissed off. And Jenny's like, but he's helping people and he's being a good guy and he saved my life. And like the uncle's like, no. So I don't remember how it happens, but
what happens?
What events happen that Buffy ends up at Angel's apartment in a cinder blocks basement, and then the others are at the library. I forget, like they split up.
Yeah, it's that she and Angel's gonna take the judge arm to like the other end of the earth, and he has to like board a freighter, so they go down to the docks.
They have to go to the docks, which I don't know how close Sunnydale in the geography that they're giving us is to the docks.
Obviously, it's like right there. And so they go together, and then they get attacked at the docks, and they fight off the vampires, but the vampires manage to steal the arm back, so now there's no point in him boarding the freighter, so they go back to his apartment, and then, things happen.
Yeah. But before that happens, which is another one of my favorite things, is Angel's birthday gift.
Oh, yes. It's adorable. He's super not Irish.
Yeah. A ring from his people. Which is, myself and Trisha know what these rings are because we
both have them, I think.
Yeah. I don't have mine on.
Neither do I.
I should have worn mine for this episode. Same. He gives her a Claddagh ring, which is a Celtic. Celtic symbol that people give. It's most of the time it's a man's wedding band in Ireland, in Scotland, and in Wales, mainly. And it's just really funny because he like explains it, and they're like, "Oh, it's so beautiful."
It's a symbol of devotion.
And he has one, and all this kind of stuff. So I just enjoy that because for personal reasons, because he like is the least Irish looking dude, but like I think he actually probably is half Irish.
Maybe a little bit, but he's definitely like really Italian.
Yeah, but like I'm also half Irish, half Italian, so like I can understand.
The meeting of two warring cultures.
Pretty much. It's a weird mix.
Yeah.
So they go back to his apartment, and
his weird sparse apartment.
Yeah, it's weird. And they do it. And they the show tries so hard to like
be demure.
Make sure you know that they're doing it without ever saying that they do it. And I don't think it's till the very end of season 2 where like Buffy says something like, "Oh, so you mean like sleep with your boyfriend?" And then he becomes like a monster. Just like, oh, so they did have sex. And because during the bliss of making love,
I guess that's when Angel's moment of pure happiness.
pure happiness, and then the curse is like awoken, and he's like goes outside and it's raining, and he
Of course.
rips out his chest, and he's like, ah, and he becomes soulless and jealous. And it's just a perfect example of you sleep with a boy and he loses all respect for you because now he just wants to murder Buffy and everyone.
Like the show is all about sort of like taking those teenage tropes or cliches and turning them into something totally different. So Buffy is the blonde cheerleader who's usually killed in horror movies, and now she's the, you know, the hero. And this was Joss Whedon riffing on the idea of we had sex and now he won't call me.
Yeah.
Which is literally how he describes it. And it's pretty much the worst version of, we had sex and now he won't call me, because now he won't call me and he's trying to kill all my friends.
He literally, and like Angel was so fucking boring. Like he was a boring dude.
But he is so interesting as a bad guy.
But as a bad guy, it's just like, what the fuck? Like he does some twisted things.
He torments people.
Yeah. And it's like, even like before this whole thing happened, when with the introduction of Spike and Drusilla, you're starting to realize that like Angel wasn't like so square. And you're like, oh, there's like dimension to this idiot. And so like the whole entire second season was a great Angel season. But it also really fucking sucked for Buffy. Like
and everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to admit the person it sucked the most for is Jenny.
Yeah. But this also causes those annoying Xander moments where he's like, oh, I don't want to say I told you so. Like that kind of stuff about like.
Well, when Angel. He was like, you know, I was on the hating Angel train from the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, but you were jealous.
There was no reason for you to hate Angel besides the fact that like Buffy liked him more than you.
There's a difference between petty jealousy and he's trying to kill my friends.
Yeah. So Angelus's whole point is to ruin Buffy's life and to eventually
drive her insane.
Yeah, I think he even says at one point like he wants to make her like Drusilla, which he drove her insane and then made her a vampire. From what I briefly got.
Yes.
And he does this quite well. And I think his probably biggest awful thing that he did was he kills Jenny. And I mean, I wasn't crazy about Jenny. I understand why people like would like her.
I like her.
I thought she was a little weird. I was more pissed off at what it did to Rupert. Like it really fucks Rupert up. And like it's because he like kills Jenny and then brings Jenny to Rupert's house and like sets it up like Jenny's trying to have like a romantic night with Rupert.
Yeah, he definitely plays like, I mean, okay, so here's my thing about Jenny's death, because there are other deaths in the show, as you would expect from a show like this. Mm-hmm. Jenny's is the one that I'm most okay with narratively, because it's not about what her death does to Giles. Like, that's not the purpose of the death. Like, Angel doesn't kill her to screw with Giles.
No,
he kills her and then screws with Giles.
Yeah, like, he kills her because she's trying to redo the curse. Like, she's trying to give him his soul back, and he realizes it, finds her, and then kills her. It had nothing to do with, like, being a dick to Buffy and being a dick to Rupert, but then he sees it as an opportunity to be a dick after she's already dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I liked about it, and I think that people can learn in, like, because a lot of deaths like this in other shows turn into fridging female characters. You kill the female character to affect or push the story forward for a male character, and you could say, or another character, because sometimes you can do it for same-sex characters depending on the concept. But you could say that, like, you could argue that about Jenny because it does push Giles for a story forward, but that's not the purpose. Like, it was all about what she was doing, and her arc for this season was all about redemption, essentially, for herself. And just as she's like working toward that and about to do it, she is killed entirely because of what she is doing. She is not killed in order to do something to another character, in order to hurt another character. It's not a meaningless death. which a lot of these deaths are. So that's why I hate it, because oh my god, that episode is great and devastating, and the way he does it is just so, like, I like that there's no fuss about it. Like, it's not, gonna kill you slowly. There is, chase through the school, but it ends abruptly, and then and she's dead. And I like when there's no fuss about it, when it's not like, no, or like long gurgling, I tell them I love them sort of scenes. So I like that about it. And I like everything about the way this was written. It's too bad that she died, but it happens. When a psycho vampire is after you, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, when you try to give him back his soul.
Yeah.
A bad
thing. Really don't like that.
No.
And of course that sets up a lot of character development for not just Giles, but also Willow. Who gets to teach class and then also becomes a witch.
So I understand that, like, it was in the middle of the school year, but like
there's subs.
Yeah, like they just let Willow take over Jenny's classes.
It just made me think, like, doesn't she have a class during that period?
What was she doing at this time? Computer lab?
Like, was she in study hall? Like, just really conveniently? But then, is she only teaching one class, or is she teaching all the classes?
That's what I mean. And like, there's like later on in that weird episode, which I didn't like, about this, like the swim team. Where
I like that one just because Xander and a Speedo.
Oh no, that wasn't.
Because I just think that whole scene's very funny.
I don't like that episode, but she has like the ability to fail one of the classmates, and like the principal gangs up on her. I'm just like, that is her peer. Like, he actually might, like, wait, this should not be allowed. Like, I don't get it. And like, she continues to do it. Like, at one point they're like, well, we're having a hard time finding a replacement, so can you just continue for the rest of the year? Like, is she getting paid for this time? Is she getting credit? Like, I want to know more about it. So
I want to dive into the inner workings of how Sunnydale High works.
I have a lot of questions about Sunnydale High. But not only does Willow take over the teaching aspect of Jenny's life, but she also starts trying to practice witchcraft. So
and actually manages to cast the curse on Angel.
Yeah, a little too late, but yeah,
just like a millisecond too late.
So that was great. Another new character. We lost Jenny, but we kind of gain a new character, and it's not like a replacement or anything. But Oz
he comes in before, so
yeah,
I love Oz.
I like Oz a lot. So Oz is
the anti-Xander.
Yeah, he comes in and he has like this huge crush on Willow, and it's adorable. And I think it's actually is it in the birthday ones? Or it might be after. It's when Buffy goes to the mall and she shoots Angel.
That's the second birthday episode. That's Innocence.
So it is. Willow just finally finds out that Xander and Cordelia have been like hooking up. And it pisses Willow off because she still has feelings for Xander. I don't know why. Like, you're so much better than him, Willow. And she knows that Oz has a crush on her, and they're sitting. Well, Xander and Cordelia are stealing this huge
an RPG launcher.
Yeah, whatever.
A bazooka.
Means. I was gonna say torpedo. I don't know.
A bazooka.
She's sitting in the van with Oz, and she's like, do you want to make out? And she clearly only wants to do it to piss off Xander. And Oz knows this, and like he gives this whole big speech about like how like when they kiss, it's gonna be because like she wants to kiss him. And I'm like, oh my god,
his whole thing is but see, when I'm kissing you, you're kissing me.
Yeah, because he like talks about like how he like thinks about them kissing, and I'm like, this is cute. Like, he's just a cute.
There's a moment in that scene right after he makes that speech where you just sort of see her face sort of soften a little bit, And I think it's in the audio commentary for that episode, Joss Whedon is doing the audio commentary, and he says you can see the moment Willow falls in love with him, and it's
I
right
know
there.
you can, because like she just like is watching. Oh, it's so cute. It's so adorable. Big fan of, like, from that moment I was like,
I
Oz.
liked Oz from the moment he first saw Willow, when he's looking out and he says, like, who is that girl? And his lead singer of their band says, I think she's an exchange student. He's like, no, the Eskimo. Because there was also an audio commentary for that one, and the Joss Whedon says, like, one of the things that we had to do with Oz was that he was going to like Willow, not in spite of the fact he dressed up as an Eskimo, but because she dressed up as an Eskimo. My favorite episodes, which is Halloween. Speaking of favorite episodes,
I wasn't done talking about.
Oh, sorry. Continue talking about Oz. Sorry, I had a great segue. Sorry, I jumped on it.
I know.
Speaking of Oz.
No, I don't remember.
He's a werewolf.
Yeah, so we find out he's a werewolf, which, was it because his cousin bit him? Like, his little cousin's a werewolf?
Yeah, his cousin Jordy is a werewolf.
That
was the whole conversation that you only heard his side of it, because he's like, is Jordy a werewolf? So how long has that been going on?
I think one of my favorite things stylistically that they do, I don't know if it's really stylistically, but Willow, so Oz is short. Seth Green is a short man. And I like how they don't try to make him look taller than Willow. Like, I like how they keep him short. And, like, she's sometimes taller than him and sometimes she's not, depending on her shoes. And I enjoy that.
Because Kait is also short.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think I'll ever be able to date someone shorter than me, because that would be really hard. But I appreciate that. Thank you. So now we can talk about Halloween, which is on my favorite.
Yes. Speaking of favorite episodes. What are some of your favorites?
I wrote them down. Well, I typed them.
Okay. You typed them.
I didn't write them. Who writes anymore?
I do.
Halloween is
obviously
like, it's a fucking great episode.
It's so good.
Like, there's not one thing that I hate about that episode. So Halloween, they go to this new costume shop and they get all these costumes, and like, okay, maybe the one part I don't like, and this is because I'm an annoying, like,
nitpicker.
Feminist annoying bitch, is that, like, Buffy's trying to impress Angel by getting like a dress from the time period when he was not a vampire. So,
but the point, of course, is that he's not impressed by that.
Yeah.
Like, he likes Buffy.
Yeah. Which he should have already known that, but
right. It's the male side of the conversation.
Yeah. But. So Willow is a ghost. Xander's like a soldier, and Buffy gets this beautiful, like, lady dress. And
get you one.
They're all, no matter what I wear, I'm ladylike. And no matter what I say, because I am a lady. And the shop was cursed by, later on we find out, is Rupert's old friend. So they all turned into what their costumes were, and it was just great. So, like, Xander thinks he's, like, in the army, and he's doing, like, all this macho stuff, and Buffy is like anti-Buffy.
The polar opposite of Buffy.
Yeah, and Willow's the only one that's making sense, but, like, no one can see her. But no, everybody can see her.
She's just not corporeal, so she goes through walls and
yeah. It's fine, because she didn't get her costume there.
Yes.
Which is good. I love
what
Cordelia.
I don't understand is why she turns into a ghost in her under costume, but not her over costume.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why the sheet didn't go with her.
The sheet doesn't go with her.
I don't know.
And I love Cordelia because she's like, what's going on?
She just, like, thinks, you people are, like, so fucked up. Like, what's happening? Why is he running around?
Like, they have this thing where they think that you're a vampire.
But yeah, it was a great episode. It's just a fun episode.
Yeah, it's a really fun episode. And you also, it's the first indication that Giles is not all he seems.
Yep. there's more to Giles than just books.
There's lots of punching.
Yeah.
You'll see more of Ripper in later episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love Halloween. What else is on your list?
Well, we already talked about Innocence, which is one of
you really liked Innocence. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Then the Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
Yep.
Which was a good Xander episode. Well, I mean, kind of. It's just funny.
It's one of the. I really like it because it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it casts a lot of people in different ways. Because it's honestly just nonstop jokes.
Yeah, it's just like a bizarre, funny, one-off episode. I mean, I don't condone what Xander does.
Before things get crazy.
Yeah. Cordelia breaks up with Xander because her friends think he's like a dork, which he is. And it's Valentine's Day. She breaks up with him at the Valentine's Day dance.
In an amazing dress. I have to point that out because I love her dress in this episode.
And after Xander gives her like a heart necklace.
A locket.
And she goes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I love it. Takes it and then breaks up with him.
We have to break up, like immediately.
Yeah.
She's like, wow, that's pretty. I love it. We have to break up.
Yeah. And then the girl that was in season 1 whose mom was a witch that took over her body.
Amy.
Yeah, sure. She's now a practicing witch, and Xander realizes this because she manipulates one of the teachers to think that she gave her homework in, but she doesn't. And Xander, that was a stupid move. Like, he was still in the room. Like,
just of him.
Like, just take a look around before you start doing that stuff. Clearly, beginning stages of being a witch, and so he kind of blackmails her to perform a love spell. To get Cordelia to be
the worst
madly in love with him. Yeah. We should all know from every tale
every magic
right now, I'm only thinking about. Yeah, but the only thing I'm thinking of right now is Aladdin. Love spells don't work. So it has the opposite effect. So it makes
before you go on, the thing I like and hate about him casting a love spell, he doesn't want Cordelia to love him. He wants her to love him so he can break up with her.
Yeah, it's a complete revenge thing. He wants her to be so mad about him, like madly in love with him, that like it physically, like she can't be away from him, but like he's gonna be like, no.
He wants it's revenge. Like you said, it's completely petty. And
which is why, like, it's a funny episode, but like when you really think about it, like it is another example of like why Xander is sometimes an asshole.
Yes.
But don't worry, Cordy's fine because it makes every other girl fall in love with Xander, and she's still had no effect on her.
Yep, she was protected by the necklace rather than it being the thing that helped cast the curse.
Yeah.
So everybody is like super in love with Xander. All the women are super in love with Xander, including Jenny and Mrs.
Buffy
Summers, Buffy's mom. Which is just all sorts of hilarious and weird. And I just love the episode.
Mm-hmm. It's just good.
At the same time that the episode is an indicator of like how Xander is sometimes an asshole, there's also moments where he's a good guy. Like Buffy throwing herself at him and him saying like, I really, really want this, but I actually want you to want it.
Yeah.
Which, if Oz hadn't done it first and better, would have been really nice. And then Buffy gets turned into a rat.
Yeah.
Catch the Buffy rat.
Mm-hmm. Which good guy Oz finds her.
Yep.
And then gets her clothes because she's naked.
Yeah. She seemed to be experiencing some nakedness.
Yeah.
So Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered is a great episode. I really love that one. I have watched that one by itself when like just rewatching random episodes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good, like, well, you know what happened, but no real angelus things happen, so it's kind of a perfect.
Yeah, there's one moment where he shows up, and Drusilla saves Xander. She's also
in love with him. Yeah. Another episode that I really liked because it was like very dramatic was I Only Have Eyes for You.
I don't like that episode.
Oh, really? See, I liked it.
It bothers me. I don't even really know why it bothers me. Maybe because it's so focused on Buffy and Angel, and I just don't buy into that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it just no, not for me.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought I liked it because of that. It was very dramatic. Like, it was over the top dramatic, and that's why I enjoyed it. And like, it was another example of like Rupert still not fully over Jenny. Like, he's just like, oh, it's Jenny. And it's like, they're all like, no, like, it has nothing to do with her. But I enjoyed that
But he
episode.
also wants so badly for it to be her.
Yeah, like, he wants it to have like some knowledge that she's still kind of out there and exists. And but like, it just, besides it happening in the school and Jenny happened to die in the school, has nothing else to do with her. And then the other two episodes I liked are the last two becoming part 1 and part 2 because they were
You liked
good.
a 2-part episode?
Yeah, and I liked both parts of them.
Both parts?
Yeah. Because it showed like Buffy becoming the Slayer and then Angel becoming a vampire. And then kind of, it's not like the closing of the relationship because he's gonna fucking come back. We all know that.
He has a spinoff.
Yeah.
But it was her finally being willing to kill him.
Yeah. And I liked that. I liked when we watched, so you get to see Angel become a vampire and how it was like he followed the woman into the alley and then the woman ended up being the vampire and like doing bad things to him.
Oh, Darla.
Versus like a woman being followed into a alley and then the guy doing bad things to her. So
yay, turning tropes on their heads.
Yeah.
Crazy. You also get to see Willow become a witch. Essentially, she casts the stupidly hard spell to re-ensoul Angel. Manages to cast it successfully just at the wrong time.
Yeah. So Angel's main objective of these 2-parters is to open up the gates of hell.
It's to literally end the world.
Yeah, which would then absorb all of the world.
Yeah, Akafla just literally, he's a world eater. He into a statue.
And I'm not sure why Angel is the key. Didn't really get that. But Angel physically is the key to opening and closing this door.
His blood, again.
Yeah. So he's still jealous when the fight between Buffy and Angel happened. Well, I'm forgetting one of the best parts. Spike is pretty pissed off at Angel. He is not a fan because Drusilla is now like obsessed with Angel and like listening to everything he does because he's bad again and this is cool. And because Spike's been stuck in a wheelchair, he hasn't been able to go out on adventures with him and with them, and he's getting jealous. And this is when we realize that Spike no longer needs a wheelchair, but he's not telling them, so he's like waiting for the perfect moment to reveal that he's no longer injured. So he decides to team up with Buffy. This should have happened, I think, earlier. I think they should have I've been waiting since Angel turned into Angelus for Spike to be like, I gotta team up with Buffy to stop this shit. I feel like it came a little too late.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of deal.
Yeah. So Buffy and Spike made a deal. When Buffy goes to fight Angel to make sure this doesn't happen, Spike will stand up out of his wheelchair and help her as long as he's able to escape with Drusilla, and he promises they'll never show up in Sunnydale again. They'll go to a completely far off place in the world and they'll never bother her. So Buffy's like, whatever. So Spike helps her. And then another great Spike moment was he knocks out Drusilla because she starts to fight Spike. And he's carrying her out and Angel is like kicking the crap out of Buffy. And he just looks at the situation and goes, he's going to kill that girl. And then just walks out the door.
That's one of the things that everybody loves about Spike is that sort of irreverent humor. And he pulls it off so well, and I love it.
Yeah. And then he drives off.
Because he he eventually becomes, he don't play D&D, but like you have alignments in D&D, and he becomes chaotic good, where he's like, I'm a bad guy, but I'm gonna help you because I can.
Yeah, because that's like even that whole conversation.
Chaotic neutral, more like that.
When Spike comes to Buffy's house, and then when Buffy tells fucking Joyce that she's a Slayer, freaking hate that woman.
But her knowing that Buffy's a Slayer, that's part of the reason when you start to like her, because not immediately, but like into the third season.
I don't know.
More understanding.
And Spike's sitting there with Joyce while Buffy's in the kitchen. And they're having like tea, and she goes, "Oh, do I know you?" And he goes, "Yeah. Remember when you said, 'Get your hands off my daughter'? That was me." Like
he pantomimes the axe too. He's like, "Get your hands off my daughter."
Right. And he just like, so like he even says something like, because Buffy was like, why would you want to help me? And he said like, "Oh, well, that's the funny thing. Like, we talk about wanting to end the world, but we don't really want to." Like,
exactly.
The perfect bad guy that you just love to hate, but you love him more than you hate him. Anyway. So Buffy and Angel are fighting to like the death, and finally, like, this is the moment where Buffy's like, even though I love him, or I loved him, I have to kill him. And he opens the gates, so now she has no choice, but if she needs to close it, she has to stab him and then push him into the door or something like that. And
she at least has to kill him. I don't remember exactly.
And of course, as she's getting ready to do this, the fucking spell works, and he's like, "Buffy, what's happening? I feel like I haven't seen you in months," because he doesn't remember anything. Doesn't remember killing all these people and being like a fucking maniac.
But of course, he's already opened the damn portal.
Yeah, so like there's like, it's too late. Like, she has to. And she tells him she loves him, they cry, she kisses, and then she just like fucking stabs him.
You ever notice how in like the tearful goodbye scenes, there's always a lot of face touching?
Yeah. I love you. Like,
because she touches his face and then pushes it away.
Yeah, and then
and then
yeah, and then he's just like, it's so ridiculous. And then he just goes like, "Buffy," and then he falls back into the cave.
Into a hell dimension.
And then Angel's dead, and Buffy is heartbroken, and she runs away. And
good times.
Yeah. And season 2. And in her defense, her mom did say if she walks out of the house, never come back. So fuck you, Gail. Or Joyce. Gail.
They're like interchangeable.
This is also another moment where Xander was a dick.
Yes.
Because
oh god, the whole Willow thing.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Dick.
No, there's another part too. So the vampires.
By the way, that part comes back later.
Okay.
Not for like a long time.
I'm assuming that we're talking about the same part, but
no.
Okay. The vampires attack the library, and Willow gets trapped under a bookshelf.
Yes, that hurts.
Yeah, and she is in the hospital. And this is at the time where Buffy is wanted for murder because Kendra died inside the library.
Yeah,
and
Drusilla slits her throat.
Yeah, and Buffy just happened to be there, so she's automatically the murderer.
Yep.
So Buffy in disguise is just Buffy in a beanie. All of Sunnydale is looking for her, but she just puts a beanie on and no one can find her. And so Willow's in the hospital. She's unconscious. Buffy is now, she's like, now I gotta kill Angel, like this motherfucker. Um, and Willow's parents, both out of town.
As they always are.
Never see him. And Xander's sitting there with Willow, and like he's doing like, "Oh, please come back, Willow. I love you." And then she starts to wake up, and like all she can say is Oz, and then Oz shows up. And you're just like, Xander, shut up! Like you just want to hit him in the back of his fucking head.
The part I was talking about was Willow is getting ready to do the spell again, and Xander goes off to tell Buffy what's happening. And, Willow specifically says she wants Xander to tell Buffy that they're trying to give Angel his soul back and that all she has to do is keep him from opening the portal and everything will be okay. And Xander shows up and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says, like, he's got a message from Willow and it's something like take him out or...
No, it's this was what I was talking about.
Okay.
Before we talked about, I completely forgot. Sorry, I forgot about Willow being in the hospital. But that's what I was going to say. So Willow tells Xander to tell Buffy that I'm going to do the spell. He shows up and like she's walking like in the middle of a parking, not like it looks like a parking lot or just down a street, and like he comes down like this scope, and she's like, "Ah, what are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, I have a message from Willow," and she goes, "Oh, what is it?" And like there's a beat where he's like, "Should I tell her or not?" And he goes, "Oh, she said to kick his ass."
Yeah.
And it's like, if you fucking told Buffy that, your selfishness caused you from like then Buffy going through so much fucking pain.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I mean it's supposed to piss you off. That's the scene that comes back.
Good.
Eventually.
He should.
Not soon, but eventually it comes back and it's kind of satisfying when it does.
Good.
I
hope then Cordelia breaks up with him.
There are things that will happen in season 3. I won't tell you what they are because they're more interesting to see. So those are all your favorite episodes. Mine are all very similar favorite episodes. I also really like the first 2-parter, What's My Line? Because I really like Kendra and because it's the episode where Xander and Cordelia get together and it's just kind of funny. And I like Phases, which is the episode where you find out Oz is a werewolf, but that's sort of a middling episode for me. It's not a favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like, oh, I really want to watch this again.
Probably my favorite episode of the whole season, though, is Passion, which is the one where Jenny dies. Just because I think it's really well written. It's really good. The death is, one of the better ones in my opinion. Sucks, but it always does. So those are the only differences that we had. But so we're running very low on time. But what about least favorite episodes? Because there are a handful for me. There are 3 specifically.
Yeah. So I didn't like Ted.
Neither did I. I hate that episode.
I don't like Bad Egg.
I like that episode to a degree.
I really didn't like Some Assembly Required.
I like that
because it was creepy.
Yes,
and I have really, really didn't like Reptile Boy.
Okay.
But,
so a lot of stuff at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I hate Ted.
As soon as Angelus came into the picture, I was like, yep, we're cooking with oil.
We're here. We're here.
We're here.
I hate Ted. Ted is probably my least favorite episode of the whole season.
Another example, Joy/Gale, asshole.
Joy/Gale, her name is not Gale.
Joyce, I feel like Joyce and Gale are interchangeable.
They're both punchable.
Yeah.
My favorite comic book writer's name is Gale, so no. No, I really don't, like I said, I really do not like Ted. I just think that it doesn't fit.
It's stupid.
It's dumb and it doesn't fit. It feels like, I mean, they were trying a Monster of the Week kind of thing and it just doesn't work. John Ritter withstanding,
Yeah, no one was picking up what they were putting down with that one.
Really.
So.
And I really don't like the first episode of the season. When she was bad. It's weird. First episodes of seasons on Buffy, for some reason, are always Buffy brooding and or traumatized over last season's finale. So every season premiere, it seems, almost every season premiere, I don't mind season 4's premiere, is like Buffy is acting out because things happened last season and she won't talk to anyone about it.
Yeah.
Like, she really needs a therapist.
No.
So like last season ended and she died, and well, obviously, but then she becomes like weirdly promiscuous. I don't really understand.
It was,
And
yeah.
after going away to LA for the summer with her dad, then she comes back and she's just bizarre. And then we'll talk about this in the next one, but season 2 ends with her killing Angel, and season 3 she's like run away and become a waitress.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so not a fan. I really dislike season 6. I like season 6's premiere, but I don't like the 3rd episode. And we'll talk about that eventually. There's another one that I don't like, and now I can't remember which one it was. Oh, I'm not a huge fan of Killed by Death. It's
Remind
the
me.
hospital one.
Oh,
It's the one
yeah.
where Buffy has the flu and
The little kids are
just
seeing like the
yeah.
monster.
I don't hate it. It feels very much like a precursor to Hush, which is another like fairy tale kind of nursery rhyme episode. But Hush is so much better, and Killed by Death is just bizarre. But it's not as bad as the puppet episode. I don't think anything is as bad as the puppet episode.
I don't know. Reptile Boy was pretty awful.
Yeah, but the puppet episode?
A
I
sorority
just really don't like ventriloquist dummies.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, but overall, I really like season 2. Season
I
3
think
is my
season
favorite. But
2 is really good. So let's see. What are some questions?
what other questions do you have outstanding?
I think my like one big question is like, what the fuck's up with the principal?
Snyder?
Yeah, like why is
He's a
he
horrible person.
such a dick?
He's
And
a
like,
horrible person.
and like if the town knows that they are on top of a hellmouth, like why don't they know Buffy exists?
They don't know that they're on top of a hellmouth.
No, they say that. Because every time something happens at the school, the police dude comes out and he's like, "Oh, how should we cover this up this time?" And like the Snyder will be like the same kind of story. He
Drugs.
goes and he says something about, maybe it's not till season 3 because I started it, about, well, this is kind of typical for living, by the hellmouth. And then like he said, the police, I'm assuming it's the police chief, I don't really fucking know, goes like, well, you told the mayor that you could handle this job.
That's season 3.
Okay. But still, like, why doesn't he know that Buffy's the Slayer? Or like, why doesn't...
I'm not sure. He may be intentionally obtuse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot about him knowing about the Hellmouth, but he may know about the Hellmouth specifically because of the mayor, because the mayor is a thing. In season 3.
Okay, yeah.
But not everybody knows about it. Like only people who are associated with the goings on know about it.
No, I don't think like a normal person that lives there knows about it, but like if he knows his information, I just feel like
in terms of Snyder, assuming, I'm not saying you're not correct about that line. Him knowing about the Hellmouth when he comes to Sunnydale or whatever would be entirely based on his relationship with the mayor. So the mayor likely only told him what he needed to know.
Yeah.
You don't need to know that one of your students is the Slayer because...
I don't know. I think maybe you should, since like he's trying to like I don't get what his...
We'll talk more about this in the next...
Yeah, I just don't understand why
episode, in the next
really like hates Buffy like over everyone else.
He just does. Because he's honestly a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like just from every other thing he says to everybody forever, he's just a horrible person. So which makes him quite suited to assist with the mayor's plans. Did you have any other questions?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, if you have any other questions, do you have any final thoughts, by the way, before we wrap up?
No, I don't think I'm gonna ever like Joyce.
Okay, well, we'll see. If you have any questions, comments, things you want to talk about, please feel free to leave them in the comments here on the website. That's allgeek2me.net. You can also tweet at us. It's at allgeek2me.net, or I'm at Trisha Ennis. She is at Kait Calabro. On Twitter, you can also use the hashtag 2chicks1show, numbers, not letters. And we will respond to any and all comments as long as they are not horrible, flamey comments. Trolls not allowed. So this has been a 2chicks1show. We will be back with Buffy Season 3 in the new year. Have a lovely holiday. And good night.
Bye.